Hi, welcome to One Tired Teacher, episode 282, When Simple is Actually Powerful. So today we're going to talk about something that often prevents teachers from moving forward with things like STEM. They feel like it's overwhelming or it's too open-ended or they don't have the right materials. And so we're going to address that on this episode. Hope you stick around.
Welcome to One Tired Teacher. And even though she may need a nap, this teacher is ready to wake up and speak her truth about the trials and treasures of teaching. Here she is, wide awake. Wait, she's not asleep right now, is she? She is awake, right? Okay. From Trina Debery Teaching and Learning, your host, Trina Debery.
Hey, so today we're talking about keeping it simple and how this can actually be really powerful. And we are continuing a series from February where we are focusing on reassurance and permission with STEM as our spark. And I want you to remember, you are enough. You don't need to perform to matter. All right, so let's jump into when simple is actually powerful. You don't need elaborate materials or perfect conditions. Simple tools, real problems, and thoughtful questions can open huge conversations. So today we are focusing on the engineering design process as a calming structure. This is another reason why sometimes people get overly worked up about STEM, thinking I can't do it. It's going to cause this mayhem. But actually, when we work through like a structure, it doesn't necessarily, and I don't mean structure like everything we're going to all be aligned in this one way. We're all inside the box. No, this is outside of the box. This is outside of the box thinking. So but the structure can still give us some kind of guide. So why I love the engineering design process so much is because it allows our brain to think through things. So for example, we usually take a problem, and I've been doing a lot of STEM story stations where I'll take a problem in a story. For example, I'll share one that goes with my February freebie, which is a STEM story station focused on grit. And it's based on the story After the Fall, which is with Humpty Dumpty. We know the problem is that Humpty Dumpty falls and he cracks open. So how are we going to solve that problem? And this is where kids get the opportunity to ask questions about it. How much force, this is a great place for force and motion. How much force was involved with with how Humpty fell? Was it a higher level, which would cause more of a force? And then we can talk about gravity and we can talk about things like that. And, the impact on hitting the ground at that kind of speed. And that makes it really easy to integrate science. But the fact that we've read After the Fall, we've integrated reading. And if we do some activities with reading, then, we've got that covered as well. Anyway, so they ask questions and they start to brainstorm solutions. This gives them the opportunity to think about what they might do, how they might solve the problem, what materials they might need, or what they're going to use. And we allow them to do that. Then we actually allow them to build. And this is the part that people are like, oh, this gets crazy, but it doesn't have to get crazy. The other thing is they're like, oh, I don't have the materials. But we don't need anything fancy. We can use cardboard and tape. We can use pipe cleaners. We can use popsicle sticks. We can use toilet paper rolls, which are a little harder because you have to ask for those to come in. So maybe you don't want to use those. Maybe you want to use whatever you have in your classroom. Maybe you want to use trash. Recycling is a big deal. Or maybe you want to use Play-Doh or Legos, something that you have probably on hand or that you might get on hand and keep and repeatedly use. So those are just some ideas. Then we test our solutions to see if they actually work. And then we give kids a chance to revise solutions. This is really important. It often is the step that's skipped because they don't feel like you have enough time. I like to kind of break up the engineering design process. I like to do that first part maybe in one time period and then come back maybe the next day or later in the day and do the revision part and allowing kids to like work through some productive struggle. Last week I talked about failure not being the end of the world. If you want to check that out, it's episode 281, and it's a good one. Anyway, so then they revise, they reflect. I like to have them compare and contrast and take a look at how things worked and how they didn't work, and have conversations that I feel are really powerful for kids. So you don't need elaborate materials. You don't need perfect conditions. Simple things, real problems, problems from a book, questions, these can lead to huge conversations. All right. So why cardboard, tape, and conversation matter more than you think. The kids the kids are what's the most important part. The materials don't have to be complicated. They don't have to be complicated. You don't have to make it harder for yourself. And this structure, this actually reduces anxiety for both the kids and the teachers. All right, here's the takeaway. Simple doesn't mean shallow. It often means safe. And we all thrive in a safe environment. All right, so if you are interested in my free Grit STEM story station based on After the Fall, all you need to do is go to trinadebreteachingandlearning.com/grit, or just go to the show notes and click the link. That's it for this week. Until next time, sweet dreams and sleep tight.